And if you're just joining us, you're still watching Business Daily, which is coming to you live on Trust TV. Just before the break, we started a conversation on an appraisal of President Bola Tinubu's 1 year in office. How has he fared so far? I still have my guest, who is Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, right here with me. And I am now also joined by the President of the All Farmers Progressive Association, Ogbo Joseph Douglas. Thank you, sir, for joining us on Business Daily.
Thank you.
And just before the break, sir, we had started, our conversation around the agricultural sector and, what we have seen so far. That has played out, in the past 1 year. And I stated that just about a year ago, we had seen, the declaration of a state of emergency on the agricultural sector. And you are a key player within that sector. How would you say that sector has fared so far in the past 1 year?
Yeah. Good morning, viewers. Like rightly said, my name is Chief Dr. Ogbo Joseph Douglas, the President of All Progressive Farmers in Nigeria. Actually, if we can look at what is happening in the society now, when this new government came in, which is just 1 year old today, I think the number one or two thing they did was the declaration of state of emergency on food security. And if we say by what is happening today, I don't think much has been achieved in the issue of food security in Nigeria. Because going by the trend of things, the price of food we are facing today is higher than even that time of declaration of emergency. It's higher. In fact, I can say it's 10 times multiplied. So we have not achieved anything in the issue of food insecurity declaration of emergency. So I think government has to do more if really they want to tackle that problem of food insecurity in the country. Today, even at the time of declaration of food of emergency, we are buying a mudu of beans for just 1,000. Today, a mudu of beans is 2,500. The same thing to rice, maize, and other foodstuffs. So we have not achieved anything. In fact, as I'm talking to you now, Nigeria is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. It can explode anytime. And I always say this: the only problem that any country can face is food riot. And once there is food riot in the society, it will be very difficult for government to control it. So the best thing for them to do is to address the situation or to address the problem with immediate response.
We also did, touch on how the policies so far have impacted specifically the economy generally and the agricultural sector. And one of those is the increase of the monetary policy rate. As we speak, the monetary policy rate is at 26.25%. Over to you now, Prof. How would you say that, that increase that we have seen so far is impacting on small businesses? Because before the break, you had talked to how people at the bottom level of the echelon are those facing the effect of the policies we have seen so far. But let's talk specifically to the area of small and micro enterprises and the increase we have seen, play out with the monetary policy rate. Over 3 increases so far in the past, I believe, 6 months. How would you say that is impacting micro, small, and medium enterprises?
Yeah, of course, what it just means is that, yes, we understand what the bank is probably doing, trying to control inflation, to mop up excess liquidity that probably will have arisen as a result of unbridled control of cash in the economy, excess cash. When you have that kind of situation, of course, what you see is inflation. And of course, it's not necessarily it's inflation that is driven badly, not necessarily to demand, but maybe by supply. And of course, when it happens like that, a responsible agency would introduce measures to mop up this excess liquidity, and that's why you are probably seeing the increases. But we also have to remember that when there is continuous increases, what is done is that it stifles small and medium scale enterprises, because they cannot get funds, they cannot get finance to do their businesses. And when they cannot get finance to do their business, what happens? Maybe little money that they need to get equipment will not be there. There cannot be increase in production, and when there's no increase in production, the multipliers will not be triggered, and where the multiplier is not, where multipliers are not triggered, there can be full employment. You cannot even have anything close to it, and in that situation, you can't be talking about a stable, sustainable economy. So those are the problem really, and how many people can actually imagine where you're going to get the money? Even if you get the money at the end of the day, to what extent do you think you can actually perform to be able to pay back monies, at high interest rates, especially within those kind of existing within those MPR brackets. It's a ding-dong, difficult situation, often being between the rock and a hard place. And that's why we say that, yes, we appreciate some of these policies, but the bane is implementation. He mentioned something very important. They came up last year, talking about food insecurity. But to what extent have we been able to achieve that? The bane again has been implementation, as the case goes.
Now to you, Mr. Ogbo Douglas, just before we go, he talked about, the impact of the current MPR, that is the monetary policy rate. How is that impacting, or through your conversations and association with members of your association, what has been, the impact that you have heard from them, firsthand as regards to the increase in MPR in 1 minute before we go?
Like I've told you, we are practical farmers. Whatever you do today, if we don't feel the impact directly on us, it's of no impact to us. So, as I'm talking to you today, we are addressing the problem of food insecurity from the top instead of from the root. And until we address it from the root, we cannot get the result. Last time, the previous government of President Muhammadu Buhari, spent a lot on farmers. And when this government came in, they look at it that much has been spent on farmers with no result on site. They look at farmers, they classify them as they are all the same people. But I always point you to them that these are political farmers that Buhari dealt with. So they shouldn't look at them as real farmers. So if they still classify us as all farmers the same thing, believe me, we cannot achieve the result in this food insecurity of a thing. So until they're able to differentiate us from them, and then government should come near to us, come closer to us. In fact, it is important for us to have what we call farmers bank in this country. When we have something like farmers bank, who can now deal directly with farmers, give them money, pursue them to recover it. I think we have problem of, say, government give out money to farmers and yet they cannot recover them.
Talking about recovering of loans. Yes, exactly.
And these are one of the reasons why now we cannot access any fund from government. Because they say the farmers are owing up to trillions of money. CBN has declared that.
Unfortunately, our time is fast spent, but I have been speaking with Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, who is an economic reform analyst, and Ogbo Joseph Douglas, who is the president of the Farmers Progressives Association. Thank you very much for all the insight you've shared on today's edition of the program. But this is the point where we draw the curtains on this segment.